It's time to feel what you've been bottling up. Life in rural America isn't easy. The long hours, the constant pressures, the demands of the land, livestock, and family, it all takes a toll. We're tough and we've got grit, but somewhere along the way, toughness started meaning bottling up emotions and powering through. But here's the truth. That strategy, it's not working and it's poisoning us. Maybe you've noticed and maybe you haven't, but the numbers don't lie. We're breaking down and it's showing up in our bodies, our relationships, and in the rising suicide rates in agriculture. You don't have to carry any of it alone. There's another way. If you're ready to stop being weighed down and start moving forward, my one-on-one good movement guidance is now open. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more and see if one-on-one guidance could be for you.
I'll carry you, you carry me, we'll help each other through it. Come on and say good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. Pain isn't a bug, it's a feature. I first heard this phrase, pain isn't a bug, it's a feature, on the Dr. John Deloney show in an episode of his featuring grief expert David Kessler. That episode is going to be linked in these show notes because it's so good and you should definitely go over there and listen to it. But that phrase specifically, it just hit me. And after I heard it, I just could not stop ruminating on it. I kept turning it over in my mind, and eventually I sat down and journaled about it. And here's what I wrote. Pain is not an anomaly. It's not meant to be shoved down, ignored, or covered up. It's meant to draw our attention to, learn from, and point us toward what needs care and tending. When we dismiss it, we're dismissing the opportunity for change, growth, and healing. When I first heard it, I don't like the idea that pain is not a bug, that it's a feature of life, but it's so incredibly true. If we look back on our lives, we can see where we've experienced pain and where that pain has been able to teach us something. Then I think about a couple of my favorite verses from the Bible, James chapter 1, verses 2-4, where it says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. And John chapter 16, verse 33, where it says, in this world, you will have trouble. I mean, just pulling from my own life experience, but then also from what I've read in the Bible, like, duh. Pain is not a bug. It's a feature. It's meant to be here. It's meant to teach us something. And then for further proof, this past weekend, at the time of this recording, I heard another phrase that echoed this idea. Illness is the necessary complement to health. And it was just another reminder that pain, whether it's frustration, burden, or physical discomfort, isn't wrong or out of place. It's part of the human experience, and it holds the potential to teach us so much more if we listen to it. So what if we stopped viewing pain as something to fix or fear or be shoved down or killed, and instead saw it as an invitation to grow? What might shift for us? So, thinking of pain and its purpose, pain is kind of like a notification on your phone. It's not a glitch, it's a feature. It's designed to alert you to something that needs your attention. Just like you wouldn't ignore the low battery warning on your phone, you shouldn't ignore the signals pain sends either. But we do because of the cultural narratives and our conditioning and how we've been brought up. How often have we heard toughen up or rub a little dirt in it or, all the things that we hear? These messages, they teach us to shove down pain. But when we do that, we miss the opportunity to heal. This is not a diss on doctors or medicine at all. But how often do we go to the doctor and we describe the symptoms that we're having or the pain that we're experiencing? And instead of getting curious about what might be at the root of that pain or those symptoms, we're prescribed medicine to not cure it, but just cover it up or make the symptoms more bearable or the pain more bearable. Like, how often does that happen? It happens a lot. And if I have a headache, you're dang sure I'm going to take some Tylenol. The difference is now that I recognize this about pain, I'm going to get curious about what might be causing the headache in the first place. Is it hormones? Did I not drink enough water? Like, what is the problem? Am I holding on to some emotions that I should probably take a look at and process through? Like, what is causing the headache? Because when left unchecked, pain doesn't just disappear, it builds. Sometimes it shows up as anxiety or burnout or physical symptoms. I think a lot of our physical pain is probably due to something that we have ignored emotionally. But anyway, it can create this distance in our relationships with ourselves and with others, and it makes us feel isolated and misunderstood. And so we need to really get curious about what pain is trying to teach us. Pain can be a teacher. In that episode of the Dr. John Deloney show with David Kessler and in David Kessler's works, I'm currently, at the time of this airing, I might be done with it. I don't know. But I'm currently consuming David Kessler's book, Finding Meaning. And in his work, he reminds us that while pain isn't inherently good, it's not necessarily a blessing. It does often hold valuable lessons, and it reveals what matters most, what needs healing, and what we might need to let go of. So here's a huge pain point for me. My dad's passing. That pain was the most overwhelming pain that I have ever experienced. And I can't say that I really wanted to get curious about it or learn from it. I would have rather shoved it down and kept going. But I also recognized that that kind of overwhelming pain could not possibly be shoved down in the ways that I can shove down other pain if I so choose. So I allowed myself to feel it and learn from it. And I learned a lot about myself and my relationship and the importance of processing emotions and about the world. And I can say with confidence that I have found meaning in that pain, and I would not be where I am today had that not happened. Now, I am in absolutely no way saying that I'm thankful for what happened. I am not. There's a difference between being grateful and finding meaning. And I have found meaning. And I can say that this podcast would not be a thing if I had not experienced that pain and that loss. It's okay to say this hurts and I wouldn't choose it, but I can still learn from it. And there's opportunity in pain, whether it's resilience, empathy, or a chance to reconnect with what really matters to you, or learn that there's other things that matter to you that you had no idea about. So, what are some practical ways to engage with pain that aren't shoving it down, ignoring it, killing it, the first thing we can do is just acknowledge it. Say this hurts, and that's okay. Naming pain, believe it or not, takes away some of its power. The second thing we can do is just pause and listen. Ask yourself, where do I feel this pain in my body? What might it be trying to tell me? You can journal and put words to what you otherwise can't articulate, or you can just sit and listen to it and not journal about it. Just learn from it, open yourself up, surrender to it in a way. Then, after you've done some acknowledging and pausing and listening, we can seek meaning gradually. Sometimes we don't see the meaning right away. In fact, I would say that you're pretty hard pressed to see meaning right away in certain pains, especially if they're very overwhelming pains like loss of a loved one or, loss of a relationship, etc. And that's okay. Just stay open to what the pain might reveal over time. Connection also matters, especially in rural life. I think we tend to try to carry pain alone, but opening up to someone who understands can lighten the load, or not even someone who understands, someone that you trust and feel safe with. They don't have to understand what you're going through to be there for you. They don't. So connect with someone. Because when we don't do these things, when we don't acknowledge, when we don't listen, when we don't try to learn from what our pain is telling us or trying to tell us, there are consequences. What we don't process often comes back to bite us, whether it's as emotional numbness or resentment or straight up rage or physical ailments. What we do not process will always come back to bite us. It does not go away just because we shove it down or ignore it. Unspoken pain can also become a wedge in our relationships, making us feel distant, even from the people that we love the most. So again, go back to that connection matters piece and share what you're experiencing. Our loved ones, believe it or not, they are not mind readers. They don't always know what pains we have until we talk to them about it. And when we don't face our pain, it doesn't just affect us, it ripples through generations. I know that sounds crazy, but it is so incredibly true. However, there is good news. The good news is that breaking the cycle starts with us. Just because your grandparents, your parents, your aunts and uncles didn't share their pain or get curious about their pain, and they tried to shove it down and power through, that doesn't mean that we have to. We can break the cycle. It can stop with us. So, again, pain is not an anomaly. It's meant to draw our attention to what needs care and tending. And when we dismiss it, we are dismissing the opportunity for change, growth, and healing. So, where is pain showing up in your life? How can you give it the attention it's asking for? If you're the journaling type, maybe journal on what might my pain be trying to teach me. Also, go listen to that episode on the Dr. John Deloney show with David Kessler. It's great. It's linked in the show notes here. And let me just leave you with this. Don't be afraid of your pain. Pain isn't something to fear. It's something to walk through, to learn from. And on the other side, I can say this from personal experience because not just with that life-changing pain of my dad's death, but with all of the smaller, minor pains that I've experienced since then, I can say with confidence that getting curious about that offers healing and understanding and joy and so much more knowledge than I ever thought possible just by getting curious about pain, because pain is not a bug, it's a feature. With that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.